You ever think your school scandals were bad? Fist fights in the cafeteria, cheating rings, stolen exam papers? Forget all of that. What happened at this school shook the entire town, ripped families apart, and left everyone asking the same terrifying question. How could something so dark be happening right under our noses? It started on what looked like just another boring school day. The kind where you drag your feet to math class, half asleep, wishing for the weekend. But within a few hours, every hallway would be buzzing, hundreds of phones would be recording, and the man everyone thought was a role model, the one trusted to lead the entire school, would be exposed for something unthinkable. Now, before you think you've guessed what happened, trust me, you don't. The story doesn't just end with shock. It goes far deeper, spreading to parents, police, the FBI, and even people living thousands of miles away. And the truth? It's more disturbing than any rumor you've ever heard whispered in a school hallway. It all began with one sentence that ripped the mask off everything. A student was heading to class when his friend sprinted up, wide-eyed, and said, "Dude, I just saw your mom slap Principal Martin in the face." Just that sentence alone stopped him in his tracks. And as you'll see, that slap wasn't just anger. It was the spark that blew the lid off a scandal bigger than anyone could have imagined. So why would a mom, in front of the entire school, hit the principal? Was it personal? Revenge? No. It was because she'd just uncovered something so vile, she couldn't stay silent another second. She walked into that office with the kind of fury only a parent can feel, and with the entire school watching, she dropped the truth. Hidden cameras in the girls' locker rooms. The silence after that was the kind that freezes your blood. Students stopped breathing, teachers backed away, and the principal, the man who gave speeches about integrity, who shook hands with parents, who smiled for every yearbook photo, his face shifted from rage to pure panic. But here's where it gets worse. You might think, okay, some creep hiding cameras, that's sick enough. But no, this wasn't some random pervert in the shadows. This was systematic, organized, 6 months worth of recordings. And worse, he wasn't just watching them himself, he was selling them. A monthly subscription, $50 for access, $200 for premium, and strangers from around the world were paying to watch kids change clothes. At this point, your stomach probably turns, and that's exactly what happened in that office. Students cried, some screamed, one even vomited into a trash can. And it didn't stop there, because while chaos exploded inside, the principal tried to play the same card predators always play: denial. "I was just trying to stop vandalism," he pleaded. "I'd never do something like this." But his excuses shattered the moment the mother pulled out receipts. His Amazon order history showing he bought 12 micro cameras, the server logs connecting directly to his office computer, and the payments flowing right into his PayPal. $30,000. That's how much he made exploiting students. And as that number spread across the school like wildfire, fury reached a boiling point. Teachers turned pale, the gym teacher lost control and slammed the principal against the wall, shouting, "You knew," because he'd raised concerns months ago, and Martin silenced him. And now, every ignored red flag came crashing down. By the time the police stormed into the building, students were chanting, recording, crying, and shouting. The arrest wasn't quiet. It wasn't dignified. It was the walk of shame in front of hundreds of phones, each one capturing the end of a career and the beginning of a nightmare. But this is where the story takes its darkest turn, because the moment law enforcement dug into the servers, they realized it wasn't just about one school or one group of students. The subscribers were global. Coaches, teachers, daycare workers, all paying for access. Some of them were arrested in other states within days. And just like that, a scandal that started in a single locker room had become a federal case, involving the FBI, cybercrimes units, and headlines across the country. Families broke. Students felt dirty, violated, unsafe in their own school. One girl couldn't face the thought of strangers watching her and tried to end her life. A boy attacked another student for making a joke about the scandal. And through it all, the weight of betrayal crushed everyone. This wasn't some faceless monster in the dark. It was the man they saw every morning at the school entrance, smiling, pretending to care. Now, here's the part you didn't see in the news clips. While all of this unfolded, while chaos swallowed the community, the mother who started it all, the IT worker who followed the digital breadcrumbs, wasn't sleeping. For weeks, she'd been quietly tracing signals, pulling evidence, keeping it all secret until the case was airtight. And the FBI admitted something chilling. If she hadn't done it, the files might have been destroyed. Martin nearly got away with it. And yet, despite the evidence, despite the arrests, despite the charges stacking into decades of prison time, some people turned on her. Threats, a brick through her window, whispered phone calls at night saying she'd ruined an innocent man's life. That's the twisted power predators hold, not just over victims, but over communities desperate to believe it can't be true. The courtroom scenes were surreal. Martin, once confident and untouchable, reduced to shaking, crying, being denied bail, facing a possible 900 years in prison. And as the charges piled up, child exploitation, embezzlement, federal distribution, families sat in the back, sobbing, clapping, raging. Not because justice would erase what happened, but at least it was finally visible. And this is where you stop and think, how many times do we ignore the signs, the complaints waved away as rumors, the weird behavior brushed off as just quirky? How often do institutions care more about their reputation than their kids? See, this story isn't just about one man's evil. It's about silence, about people who saw smoke but didn't want to believe it could be fire. And if you take nothing else from this story, take this. Silence is the predator's best friend. Because what starts as one hidden camera can turn into an entire network of suffering when nobody dares to speak up. Now, here's where I'll leave you with something you won't be able to shake. Somewhere, right now, another school, another team, another group of kids is trusting someone who doesn't deserve it. The question is, will someone notice? Will someone speak up? Or will everyone look the other way until it's too late? So here's my challenge, not a request. The next time you feel that nagging sense that something isn't right,